I had actually left a message for both Mr. Antonin and Mr. All, and they both were kind enough to reply and kind of gave me some direction on how to present this information, and I'm sorry that the resident just left, because I think there's some important information that would be relevant to them. But I wanted to take a minute to do two things, if the council would indulge me, just a few moments, to take an opportunity to read to you a letter that was sent to me by a resident of Maplewood, specifically addressing bullying and in schools and some of the things that he has experienced. I've made a copy of the letter for the record, and I have a copy for each of the council member, and I would ask to the council direct staff to bring this up as part of the HRC next meeting to be addressed and certainly talked about. There's just two things that I would like to do. First, I'd like to read you the letter, and I'd show you just a short presentation that I put together. But I would begin by reading the letter dated, the email dated Monday, May 16th. Mr. Lanas, our teacher, suggested we write an essay for the city's student essay contest. I decided to write you directly instead. I'm a junior at Tartan High School, and I'm tired of feeling the way that I do. Discrimination is here, and our teachers do their best to stop it, but it happens every day. People don't use the N-word too often, but freely say fag or that is so gay every single day. I've come out to some of my close friends, and they do their best to protect me, but I feel alone. I've been so depressed that I attempted to kill myself last year. It is hard to be different in high school, and to be gay is so hard. I know there are other kids who feel like I do, and sometimes we don't know where to turn to. I often cry myself to sleep because of what kids say to me in school, and I really just wanted to quit everything. Just last week, I was pushed into a locker and spit on because I had a button on my jacket. Most kids are nice, but there are a few who pick on me and anyone else they think may be gay, even if they aren't. I don't know if you know what that feels like, but it's taking its toll on some of us here. I'm looking forward to summer break in a few weeks. Things do seem better, and I'm getting help from my counselor. I know our state is considering banning gay marriage, and for the life of me, I don't understand why. I don't know much about politics, but I know that the city council passed some domestic partner ordinance last year, which is pretty cool. So while our state is saying we're not good enough to love who we want, it's nice to know that our city does try to make everyone feel welcome. I'm a good person, I'm a good student, and I stay out of trouble. My parents want me to change and be not gay, but I think God made me this way. Why can't I just be me and feel like I belong and love who I want? I really just wanted you to know that some of us really appreciate what the council is doing. I know that there are some out there that hate you guys, but what you do makes a difference. I hope you can do more to help us students so we can live our lives how we want without feeling like crap all the time. Thank you for listening, and thank you for doing the good stuff, but please don't share my name with anyone. If I could get the booth to turn on the computer, the piece, the overhead. There's a national campaign that is going on now called It Gets Better. And the first person that I want to show is Billy Lucas. Billy Lucas never identified or self-identified himself as gay, but he was often tormented in school, and at 15 years of age, he hung himself. Tyler Clementi. Tyler Clementi, at 18 from college, was outed after some of his dorm mates found out, and Tyler jumped off a bridge committing suicide. Brad was an outspoken student leader in his school and his community, and after 4 years of being subjected in school, was found in his garage with his car running after taking his own life. Aisha, a student at Howard University, after also being a student leader of a prominent family, a lesbian herself, decided to take her own life rather than endure what she was being subjected to. Justin from Anoka, Minnesota. Justin was 15 years old when he hung himself in his family home after months and years of being subjected to bullying in school, despite his many attempts to get school officials to intervene on his behalf. Seth Walsh, 13 years of age, was also subjected to the bullying in his school. And after being told by his classmates that he should go home and hang himself, is exactly what he did. In his backyard, he threw a rope around a tree in his backyard where his mother found him, and after 9 days of being in the hospital, Seth passed. Zach attended a city council meeting in Norman, Oklahoma, and after what he heard and was subjected to by those in attendance, went home and shot himself. The last one is Ashton. Ashton was 13 and also was subjected to the many vicious attacks of calling him a queer and a faggot. Went home and took his dad's shotgun and took his own life. We will hopefully someday never be subjected to reading a headline in our community where a student has been exposed to bullying in our schools. I never want to read that a teenager has decided to take their life rather than put up with what they're being subjected to. So it comes to great pain to get these letters from our residents because they do watch what we do. We often joke about the millions of people around the world that watch us. And maybe it's not a million, but maybe it's a few. And maybe it's a few kids that listen to what that person out there said about gays in our community and how they're less than and not equal to, and distort lies and pass misinformation. And it's not just the adults that are subjected to that, it's these teenage kids who go to our schools and live in our community who already feel awful. And to have a council allow that person to say those things is inexcusable. So while we're offended and while we take, what these people say and just roll it off our shoulders sometimes, there are kids that are listening. And there are kids that are taking their lives. And I want to live in a community where we don't allow that. I want our kids to be raised in a community as an educator and as a former teacher and principal. I would see what happens in these schools. And North St. Paul ISD 622 is doing amazing things. They have some amazing staff that work with these kids that is profoundly changing the way they go to school. And we have to continue to support them. And so while there are those out there that say, what you did in terms of a domestic partnership really hasn't made a difference, I beg to differ. And when we established a Human Rights Commission that focuses on making people feel more of a community, it matters. So I would just continue to say that we have a role and a responsibility as community leaders to go out of our way to really make sure that not only our residents but our teens feel a part of an included part of our community. And we have to be very careful to not allow those people, especially adults, make them feel worse. So I wanted to share this with you because it's our role as a council and our role as a community member to stand up against this sort of intolerance and bigotry and to have our kids feel a part of our community, and that's our goal. So I just really wanted to thank the council and really say to those kids out there that are experiencing this in their lives, it gets better.
Thank you, Councilmember Lunas.